r/ProRevenge. First story. Live in a rental for over a year without paying rent? Good luck in jail. This has all been finalized, so I decided to post it. For obvious reasons I didn't want to post it while it was ongoing. Last summer I bought a house trailer and decided to rent it out. It needed some work, so I posted 2 months free rent for putting carpet down in the living room, hooking up the hot water heater, and putting in a toilet. Got a nice couple with a newborn willing to do it. Great. No lease, month to month. No security deposit and the rent was $450 a month. So they did the work, so I didn't ask for rent for 2 months. Everything was fine. Side note, there are a few little state laws that come into play. If you don't pay rent for 3 consecutive months you are considered a squatter, which means the landlord doesn't have to fix the property and can actually padlock it and deny you entry. If you're on house arrest and get formally evicted, you could be violated for it. Also you can be formally evicted even if you have already moved out so the landlord can get rent due. Also even though there are eviction bans, if it happened before the ban then it can still go through. Plus a few other conditions that still allow someone to be evicted. It's up to the judge really. Fast forward 5 months and still no rent money. Yes, they had a newborn and they were young and didn't have a lot of money, but the husband can spend $1,500 on a new engine for his project car. They can afford to go out to eat and spend money on electronics, but no rent. So after that 3rd month I did nothing. The weather was turning cold. I didn't put in the furnace like I promised, and if they hadn't had a newborn I would have padlocked the house. They were bragging about their tax refund. I gave them a shot to catch up, and they basically said that they knew their rights and were in a rent strike, illegally I might add. You will see later. COVID happened, husband got laid off, so I gave them a break. When he went back to work I asked for back rent again and was told to fuck off. I finally had enough. I told them they had 14 days to get out or I was doing a formal eviction, and seeing he was on house arrest he knew what that meant. I honestly was trying to keep him from having to go back to jail and keep an eviction off of their record. I was trying to be nice and civvy. So they left and I cut my losses until I checked the property. Everything they put in the removed. Everything they got free rent for was gone. I got pissed and filed for a formal eviction. It didn't go as they hoped. They said I didn't provide heat, so they went on a rent strike. Only they didn't file that with the courts or hold the money aside. They just thought they could stop paying rent. What they put into the trailer was less than the rent. The judge agreed with me that seeing they took everything I was due those 2 months rent. And the biggest, he started slamming my character. So I said, well, you didn't tell me you were going to be going on house arrest when you rented the property before. Then the judge looked bored, but he perked up. He asked them if that was true. They responded that it was, and he was ready to make his ruling. I received 15 months back rent at $450 a month and $2,000 in damages because the way they removed the stuff they damaged a lot of things. As for him, the judge said he had no choice but to turn the eviction over to his parole officer. Fast forward to this month. His house arrest was violated and he was arrested. They actually had the nerve to ask me to speak on his behalf. I didn't. Ruling was his remaining 6 months are now being spent in jail. They have a bad eviction on their record and they owe me money. Know the law before you play the game. TLDR. Squatters lived over a year rent free. Husband ends up in jail. Update. I forgot to add that social media blasted my like I was the scum of the earth. Second story. Talk to me anywhere you please. Nah, have fun loosing the entire stuff along with the juiciest of juicy contracts. This is a super throwback but it still brings a smile to my face. Also, my writing sucks so please excuse the grammatical errors. I was a ringrat growing up. The only day I wasn't in the skating rink were the adult and gay nights. Calm down. It was the 90s and that's literally what it was called. Friday night, Saturday morning and night along with Sunday morning and night I was there. Hell, I didn't even leave between the morning and night sessions. I even went Tuesday nights as well. I was serious too. I dove deep into speed skating and not trying to toot my own horn, but I was pretty good and well known. Anyway, I'd been going to this specific skating rink for years and knew everyone. One day, it was right before I started 7th grade, the owner came up to me and asked me to go out onto the rink floor and tell some kids to slow down. I did and came back, and he asked me how would I like to make $7.50 an hour, to which I responded, do I also get in for free? He laughed and said of course. Boom. First job, and I wanted to be there anyway, so it was the biggest win-win of all time for me. To say I loved it was an understatement, and I did everything besides work the snack bar, DJ, skate counters, floor guard, janitor, hype man, you name it, and I did it. It was some of the greatest times of my life. So much fun, and the owner was super awesome. Also, we were paid under the table, so getting an envelope full of cash every week just felt like a bonus for having fun. To me it wasn't a job, it was pure fun. It also helped that all my friends were regulars as well. A few years go by and the owner sold to another guy who we will call Tim. Tim could be an absolute nightmare to work for. He changed the entire dynamic of the place and everyone felt it. Now, this skating rink was popular and extremely old. Lots of people all over the city knew of it. My mom and aunt skated there when they were kids, if that tells you anything. Some way or another the new owner set up and juicy deal that had the rink started making a shitload of money. On Saturday night from 7 to 11 it was skating per usual, but from 11 to ish/3 ishes was a club. A local hip hop station came in there with local label Swisher House and turned the place upside down for those few hours. Every weekend the place was poppin'. There must have been over 2k people in there on average, and at $20 per person it adds up quick, plus the snack bar would never stop turning out food and drink. We were making stupid money. Bonus. We also found some good stuff when cleaning up as well. Money, knives, weed, jewelry. It was awesome. So Tim has it made, but sometimes he would fly off the handle for little things. All of us weren't sure what his deal was, but he would explode out of nowhere and start talking all kinds of nonsense. I'd started to have enough, because we all had worked there for many years without issue. One night he went too far. I don't like being called outside of my name. It's a respect thing. My own mother didn't do it, and he for sure wasn't. For context, I was in 10th grade now. One night he was in some kinda mood, and for whatever reason was taking it out on everyone. I don't remember the exact situation, but he started freaking out on me at about 11:30 p.m. Now, Slim Thug and Paul Wall were in the building that night, so the place was extra packed. While I'm more than usual, I'm sure we were breaking all kinds of fire marshal rules lol. He went ballistic and called me every name in the book while I just stood there with rage building up in me. I'd had enough. For years this place ran flawlessly and everyone loved us, so he really didn't have a good reason to treat us in the manner he did. My plan was formed. I immediately gathered everyone else that was working, and we all decided that enough was enough. It was time for a lesson. I assembled the entire crew and well all quit on the spot. All of us. That meant nobody to serve food, clean, help the Swisher House people, or just carry out general things that needed to be done when 2-3k people were in the building. He was stunned, his tone changed, and he became very sweet. We weren't having it. As an additional fuck you, I called the other 2 people that were off, and they showed up to quit as well. Tim had already reached out, so he assumed they were showing up to work. Nope. We left him with 0 workers on the absolute busiest of busy nights, and boy did it implode. He couldn't find anyone to work, so the place went to absolute shit that night. The on-duty officer told him he needed to figure something out, or he was going to close it down without workers. Well, he didn't. It closed down that night, and apparently without staff it got nasty. People started having sex, smoking, trashing the place and all kinds of stuff. Shortly after, the radio station and label took their business elsewhere, and not long afterward the place closed down. He lost his entire investment. This was very bittersweet for me, because I loved the place, but he ran it into the ground. The building is still standing, and I would love to bring it back to its former glory, but my pockets are deep enough yet. Maybe one day. TLDR, new skating rink owners treated employees horrible, so we all quit at the same exact time to leave him stranded. He lost a big contract with a local radio station and popular record label which cost him big money. Rink closed down shortly after. Clarification edit. So, allow me to clarify some concerns. First off, this was a skating rink, so no alcohol. I've never seen a skating rink serve alcohol, lol. The club night was only Saturdays. This never happened in any other day. Ever. Yes, it was insanity packed. When I say there were a lot of people, it's an understatement. Also, the parking lot in front of the building was crawling with people, and so was the one to the right of the building, which had a supermarket. A ton of people parked there, so the party overflowed. The people were allowed to walk in and out with the wristbands. I know the amount of people was excessive because the building had 4 account system, but only 2 worked, so we would go outside through the night to cool off because the heat was overwhelming. Hence the reason customers could come and go. Yes, the crew quit. 3 of us lived on the same block and were childhood friends. The others went way back, and when I say this owner ran the place down, he ran the place down, so it wasn't a hard sell. It was no longer a fun place to work, and eventually that bled over into the customers not wanting to come back. There is another person in the comment who worked with me, and he can back it up. Yes, I was hired when I was 13, 14ish. Yes, I was getting paid under the table. Yes, I was in middle school when I started and worked there till either the summer after 9th grade or during 10th grade. It was more than 20 years ago. Can't remember exact dates for the hair splitters. Seeing as how 3 of us lived on the same block, getting a ride wasn't a problem, and eventually we all started driving. So yeah, old enough. Yes, local radio station and local record label put on the shows. Underground hip hop starts that are insanely popular here still. We are present every Saturday, which drew huge crowds. The other editor in here was the one I called, which was at about 12 AM, and he got out of bed to come and quit. We all went to Dennis to celebrate afterwards.